Hello, Paula Daniele from Crochet Hook here. Today I'll be showing you how to make the child size version of my crochet beanie hat design. The materials required are Red Heart with Love yarn, and I am using it in the colour of caramel, and this is a medium worsted weight yarn, a category 4. Now with that yarn I'll be using a 6.5mm hook. You'll also need your craft scissors and a yarn needle. To get started, we'll make our slip knot. Leaving enough tail to weave in later on. Then you'll pop your hook in and we're going to chain 5. We'll make 5 chain stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we'll be making a slip stitch into this first chain stitch. And that's to form a ring, and we'll be working into this ring. We'll also be working over this end tail. So to start round 1, we're going to chain 2. So make 2 chain stitches. So there's 1 and 2. And that counts as 1 double crochet stitch. So you will count that when you count your stitches. That is included in your count. So just a little reminder there. So working over our tail as we go, we'll be doing 15 double crochet stitches into the ring. So there's 1, just holding your tail. I'll show you the back here. You want to make sure that that yarn tail is over the hook like that, so you're actually working it into your work as you go. So that's our second double crochet stitch plus our chain 2. Three, 4, 5, and I will let you continue until you've made 15, and I'll see you there. Okay, so I've made my 15 double crochet stitches into the ring, and now we're going to join into the top of the chain 2 that we made at the start of this round. So you can see there's the first chain and there's the second. So we want to join into the top. So we're going to go through both loops of that chain 2. And then do a slip stitch to join this round. So at the end of round 1 you'll have a count of 16 stitches, and that's because you count the chain 2 as one stitch and your 15 double crochet stitches, so therefore you have 16 stitches. And now you can turn this over and just pull the center tight like that. And with our yarn needle later, we'll weave that end in around there. So now we're up to round 2. We'll start off with a chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to start a repetitive sequence. And the first part is 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch. That's this one here. There's our first double crochet into that stitch. Now we're going to make a second one into that same stitch. Now the second part of the repetitive sequence is 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And that's all there is to this round. So you'll just keep repeating. So 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and repeat that right around until you get to your last stitch. And then I'll show you what we do with our last stitch. I'm up towards the end of round 2. And you can see that this is our last stitch here. Now with our last stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochet stitches into that same stitch. Here's our first one, into the same stitch, the second one. And there you can see our join from the previous round, and here's our chain 2. So there's 1, 2. We want to join into the top of the chain 2. So we want to go under both loops of that second chain. Make a slip stitch to join. So that's the end of round 2. And at the end of round 2 you should have 24 stitches. So for round 3 we'll start off with a chain 2. One, 2. Now we're going to start a repetitive sequence, and the first part of the sequence is 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, which is this one here. There's one, and into the same stitch we do our second double crochet stitch. Now the second part of the repetitive sequence is 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So we do 1 double crochet into that stitch and 1 double crochet into that stitch. there's one into that stitch, and then move on to the next one, and one double crochet into that stitch. So you're going to repeat that sequence right around. So the sequence again was 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and you're repeating that right around up until the last 2 stitches, and I'll show you what to do with those. Now I'm up towards the end of round 3, and with these last 2 stitches that we have here, this one here, we're going to do 2 double crochet stitches into this same stitch. So there's one, and we'll do a second one into that same stitch. Now into the last stitch, we'll just do 1 double crochet stitch. Now we're ready to join into the chain 2. So there's 1, there's 2. So we're just going to get up under both loops of the chain 2, like that. Make a slip stitch to join. Now that's the end of round 3. So at the end of round 3 you'll have 32 stitches. So to start round 4, we'll chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to be starting a repetitive sequence. So we'll be doing 2 double crochet stitches into this next stitch. There's one, and then we make our second double crochet into that same stitch. Now the second part of the repetitive sequence is 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So 1 double crochet into each of those stitches. So 1 into the next stitch, 1 into the next stitch, and 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So the repetitive sequence once again is 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into each of the next 3, and you repeat that sequence right around until you get to the last 3 stitches, and then I'll show you what to do with the last 3 stitches. I'm up towards the end of round 4 and I've got 1, 2, 3 stitches left here. So with this next stitch we're going to do 2 double crochet stitches into that stitch. There's one, and into the same stitch a second double crochet, into the next stitch 1 double crochet, into the last stitch here, 1 double crochet. There you can see our join from the previous round, and here is our chain 2, and we're joining in the top of the chain 2, remembering to get underneath both the loops of that chain 2. All of a sudden it's got a bit slippery on me. There we go. So we just make a slip stitch to join that round. So that's the end of round 4. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. And at the end of round 4 you should have 40 stitches. For round 5 we'll start with a chain 2. 1, 2. And we're going to start a repetitive sequence, and it starts off with 2 double crochet stitches into this next stitch. There's 1, and into the same stitch we do our second double crochet. Now the next part of the repetitive sequence is 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches along. So 1 here, 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 and here. So into the next stitch, 1 double crochet, into the next stitch, 1 double crochet, into the next stitch, 1 double crochet, into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. So that will be your repetitive sequence right around. So once again it's 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch and 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches, and then repeating the sequence right around up until the last 4 stitches, and then I'll show you what to do with the 4 stitches. So now I'm up to the last 4 stitches here towards the end of round 5, and in this next stitch here we'll be doing 2 double crochet stitches into the same stitch. So there's 1 into the same stitch, the second double crochet, into the next stitch, 1 double crochet, into the next stitch, 1 double crochet, and into the last stitch here, 1 double crochet, there you can see our join from the previous round. There's our chain 1, chain 2. So we want to join into the top of the chain 2, so into that second chain under both loops. We make a slip stitch to join this round. So at the end of round 5 you should have 48 stitches. For round 6 we'll start with a chain 2. 1, 2. We'll be starting a repetitive sequence, and the first part is 2 double crochet stitches into this next stitch. There's our first one, and now we'll do a second one into that same stitch there. Now the second part of the sequence is 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches along. So 1 double crochet into each of those. Here's one, move on to the next one. There's 2, move on to the next stitch. There's 3, next stitch. 4, to the next one. 5. So that's the sequence you'll use right around. So once again, that's 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So you'll be repeating that right around up until you have 5 stitches left, and I'll show you what to do with those 5 remaining stitches. I'm up towards the end of round 6 and I've got 5 stitches left here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this next stitch we'll be doing 2 double crochet stitches. In this one, and into the same stitch we do our second one. Into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. Into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. Into the next, 1 double crochet. And into our last one here, 1 double crochet. You can see the join there from the previous round. There's our chain 1, chain 2. We want to join into that chain 2. So just pop your hook under both loops. Make a slip stitch, and that will complete this round. So that's the end of round 6, and this is what the crown will be looking like now, the crown of the beanie. So at the end of round 6 you should have 56 stitches. So once you've finished round 6, that is the crown of the beanie completed. So now we'll start working on the sides. So for round 7 we'll start off with a chain 2. So 1, 2. And what we'll be doing is 1 back post double crochet around the post of each stitch, right around. So this is a back post double crochet. And what it is really is it's still a double crochet, but you're going in through the back here and working around the post of the stitch rather than a normal double crochet which is crocheted into the top of the stitch. So it's still a double crochet but just working in through the back. And therefore that's why it's called a back post double crochet. So moving on to your next stitch, and you're just going to keep making back post double crochets into each stitch right around until the end. And that's what gives it this ridged look here. That's what it looks like on the other side. So another back post double crochet. So I'll let you continue on making your back post double crochet stitches into or around the post of each stitch right around until you get to the end here, and you'll be making your last back post double crochet around the post of this stitch here, and I'll see you there. So now I'm up towards the end of round 7, and we're going to join into the top of this chain 2. So there's the chain 1 and there's the chain 2. So we're just going to slip the hook up under both loops of that chain 2. And then we're making a slip stitch to join this round. And at the end of round 7 you'll still have 56 stitches. Now for rounds 8 to 14 you'll repeat round 7 and you'll get this look as you go along, and you'll still have 56 stitches at the end of each of those rounds. So I'll see you at the end of round 14. I've just finished round 14. So now this is what the beanie hat will look like. So that's what your back post double crochet stitches have created. Now we're going to do our last round, and this is the edging, and it's just a nice simple one, and we'll just be slip stitching into each stitch right around. So here you can see this is where we're going to start in here. just by making slip stitches. So that gives it a nice little edge. So I'll let you continue on making your slip stitches into each stitch right around, and your last slip stitch will be made into this stitch here. So not in here, but this one here. Okay, so I've just made my last slip stitch here into this stitch here. So now we're ready to cut our yarn. Just leave enough of a tail that you can weave into your work. And we'll just finish off. Now you need your yarn needle. And just weave your yarn, or thread your yarn, sorry, through your needle. Now with the back here, where you can see that you've made your last slip stitch there and you've finished off here, just go down through the middle of that next stitch here. And that just makes it look even. Now on the inside of the beanie hat, I'm just going to weave your needle down through here. Making sure not to pull too tight, because otherwise you'll pull that down and you want that to stay even up there. So just keep going down. Then turn your work around like this. Skip that loop there and take your needle back up this way. And then you can cut that tail off. And now you've still got one other end to weave in, and that's in the middle. So just turn your cap inside out and thread this through your yarn needle. Now where you can see that you can give it a little pull there, just pull it on that side, and then weave your needle around this way. Sometimes you might have to give it a little wiggle just to get it through. and then that'll tighten up, as you can see, even more. And then you just keep going around, not too many times, otherwise it gets a little bit too chunky at the top there. And then skip a loop here and just go back in that direction. Give them a little wiggle and you can cut that off. So there's our ends weaved in. Turn the beanie hat back in the right way. So that is a look at the hat off the head at the back. And that is what it looks like off the head at the front. And that is what the crochet beanie hat in the child size looks like when it's worn on the head.